Can you defeat the Kalam Cosmological Argument? Well, yes, easily, because it's a joke from beginning to end. But William Lane Craig doesn't think so, and he wants to explain why. And he does a very, very bad job, which I suppose is not exactly a surprise at all, is it? So let's go take a look, because this is just stupid. William Lane Craig wants to know if the ideas behind a multiverse can potentially defeat his silly Kalam cosmological argument. And my response to that is that since his argument is self-defeating on its own, the multiverse isn't necessary to begin with. He's already done himself in. But today, we're going to look at him explain why he doesn't think that will happen, by showing that he hasn't got a clue about pretty much anything at all, as if that's any sort of surprise. If you want to know why I consider William Lane Craig such a ridiculous joke, here you go, gift wrapped. The problem is, it doesn't need a defeater because it isn't valid in the first place. The Kalam has been debunked an absurd number of times to the point that I have no idea why anyone takes it seriously anymore. Or, honestly, I know why they do, because it gets them where they want to go, but that still doesn't make it a valid argument. Now, Craig has kind of hung his career on this thing, which I think is pretty silly. There are people out there who hang their careers on Bigfoot or a flat earth, and it doesn't matter because those things are utterly nonsensical. So Craig starts off with the assumption that he's right for emotional reasons, the entire basis of religion in fact, and then he acts like his own personal contributions, which really aren't his, he just modified someone else's work from way back when, he assumes that that's gotta be right too, because it makes him happy. And then when people point out just how wrong it is, he makes videos like this. So let's take a look at what he has to say.
No, I don't think that it is. In order for that to be a defeater of the argument, you would have to show that a multiverse escapes the evidence for the second premise, the universe began to exist.
To be perfectly honest here, we're all talking about hypotheses at the moment, even Dr. Craig. Nobody has proven that there was a creator in the first place. That's just his favorite explanation yanked straight out of his ass. So if we're going to be honest, which we are and he never is, neither claim means much of anything until there is demonstrable, objective evidence to support either side, and at the moment, there simply isn't any. Now, I'm fine with that, but Craig would never accept it, because, as I said, he's coming at this from a purely emotional perspective, not a rational one. He's not really looking to show that his side is true, because he doesn't care about that one bit. He only wants to say, see, we were right all along. And that's not how you do intelligence. It really isn't. Now, we've taken Kalam apart around here quite a few times, and it really falls to pieces under the weight of its own stupidity. But Craig is asserting that the second premise, the universe began to exist, is valid without ever proving that it is. Our universe began to exist, but he insists that means every single universe, every conceivable universe in any potential multiverse, they all did as well. And how in the hell does he know that? So, assuming for the moment that there are multiple universes, and we haven't proven that, but let's play make-believe, He can't show that each and every one of them had a big bang or each and every one of them had a beginning, but he has to assert that because otherwise his whole claim falls apart. And he can't have that, can he?
When I say the universe, I mean all of contiguous space-time reality, not just our cosmos, but any multiverse there might be.
Then your whole argument disintegrates before your eyes because now you have nothing to suggest that your second premise is defensibly true. The only thing that gave his ideas even a whiff of credibility is that he could point to the Big Bang as evidence in his defense. But once you expand this to multiple universes where we cannot look at the individual causes, all of that goes away. Poof! How does he know that our universe wasn't the exception to the rule? He doesn't. He can't. But he doesn't care because this isn't about reaching truth. It isn't about discovering demonstrable fact. It's about reaching a conclusion that he favors emotionally, and that's just dumb. But that's religion for you, folks. What do you expect? This is how it functions. They start with a conclusion reached for entirely emotional reasons, and that conclusion must be true or their entire self-concept fails. Because religion isn't open to modification. It isn't concerned with whether or not its precepts are true. They are because religion says so. So there. This is why people like Craig don't get anywhere intelligent. Because they're not trying to go anywhere intelligent. Their ideas never evolve because their ideas are, by necessity, fixed. They can't change. They can't evolve. They can't improve. It's in their holy writ. And that's why trying to defend it intellectually never gets them anywhere. Because there's nowhere for them to go.
And the philosophical arguments for the finitude of the past, the beginning of the universe, as well as the scientific evidence for the beginning of the universe, apply with equal force to any multiverse, should there be such a thing, as much as to our observable universe.
And if I might ask, how exactly do you know that? Because that's just an assertion on your part. Science says nothing of the sort, because the very existence of a multiverse is just a guess at best at the moment. The math shows that it's possible, perhaps even likely, but that doesn't mean that it's true. There is an assumption being made by a lot of people, most especially Dr. Craig, that absolutely everything is just like it is here. If you want to know anything about anything, just look out the window. There you go. But that's not defensible. For all we know, any other universes out there, if any actually exist, they may all have completely different physical laws than we do. There is no way to know because, at present, this is little more than a thought experiment. But Dr. Craig is really good at thought experiments because his entire religious belief system is a thought experiment in and of itself, and absolutely nothing more. Absolutely none of it is demonstrable in any way, shape, or form. It's all wishful thinking, which is why, when he's trying to apply his ideas to a possible multiverse, he engages in even more wishful thinking to get his way. Because that's what this is about, getting his way. And that, as I continually say, is really stupid. It's childish. He has a conclusion that he simply must reach for emotional reasons, and therefore, however he has to spin it, however he has to run around with the goalposts and around in circles to get where he wants to go, that's what he'll do. Because religious apologetics, by its very nature, is dishonest. And he's just proving it. So Craig fails, but that's not exactly a surprise. The one thing that I wanted to point out here, because you might assume that I'm just helping him along, but Dr. Craig uses defeaters, which is something he picked up from Alvin Plantinga, but in his mind, a defeater is something that defeats another argument. And I just sat down and said, well, we don't know that there's a multiverse out there, which is the case. But here's why it really is one more defeater for Kalam. See, the whole way that Kalam works, the whole way that all religious philosophical arguments work, is that they assume that theirs is the last argument standing. We're right because we've fallaciously taken down all of the opposition. But in this case, the very possibility of a multiverse throws away his conclusion, therefore God, which is exactly what this is doing. As long as you can propose any other option, any other possibility that something else is going on, he can't just say, hey, I'm right because my option is the last one standing. He has to actually prove it, and he can't do that, which is yet another reason why Kalam is a complete waste of time. Because so long as we can come up with other valid options, and the multiverse is absolutely a valid option, it proves he can't do what he's doing, and what he's doing is all he can do. And this is why he's just not that impressive. People act like he's some kind of genius, and he's just not. He's some kind of something, but I don't think genius is anywhere close. Everything he says just pops out of his butthole without a single intelligent thought being attached. He doesn't understand how to discover truth because he isn't trying to discover any. He's trying to impose truth, his truth, the truth of his religion on a world that doesn't seem to support it. And that's really where he's got so many of his problems. No rational person starts with an answer and then goes off in search of a question to match. That's dumb. It really is, but that's how religion works. That's how just about any irrational mindset works, because actual rational inquiry isn't emotional. It's not about your fifis. It's about objectively demonstrable facts and how you reach them in the real world. It's about using the right tool for the right job, and Dr. Craig doesn't want to do that. He can't, because otherwise he'd just be left empty-handed, instead of just empty-brained like he clearly is. Intelligence is not just regurgitating ideas and beliefs and blind faith because you happen to like them. It's actually going out into the world and discovering how it works, then taking those observations and putting them together in a cohesive, intelligent way that explains what you've seen. It requires being open to new ideas and completely dismantling what you already think is true if it turns out to be wrong. Yet the religious, they can't do any of that because this isn't an intelligent endeavor. It's all faith and feelings, not facts and intelligence. It isn't seeking out the truth because the religious are already convinced they have it and they just can't be wrong. Unfortunately for them, though, they are, pretty much without exception, and that's why you can't have an intelligent discussion with the religious. They have nothing of substance to say, and they won't shut up. It's why the whole thing is so embarrassing for them, because they, like Dr. Craig, they just aren't that smart. And it's too bad that's unlikely to change, isn't it? Boom, boom, boom,
bum 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 bum.